Are you a demon that was summoned?
Huh.
Some people think that this parking lot might be one of the most haunted locations in Oklahoma, and it's all because of the house that used to stand here and the basement that still might be under the cement. In that basement, a woman supposedly hexed 2 other women and kept them as slaves in the 1940s. Ever since then, strange things have been said to occur there. So we decided to go to Tulsa ourselves to find out what people may be experiencing at the former Tulsa Hex House. During World War II, the United States was operating under a system of rations, and the purchasing of certain goods was restricted. The government issued rations books to citizens, which included stamps that people would have to trade to purchase the restricted goods. In 1944, a woman named Carol Ann Smith came under investigation for rations fraud after it was discovered that she had been applying for rations books under the names of her dogs. During their initial investigation, authorities learned that strange things were always occurring in the duplex that she lived in, such as the burial of 2 small coffins in her backyard. Eventually, police raided the home and found not only evidence of mass rations fraud, but also 2 young women that Carol Ann had apparently been keeping imprisoned as slaves in her basement. They were Virginia Evans, 31 years old, and Willetta Horner, 30. But much to the surprise of the police, there didn't seem to be anything physically keeping the women there. They would even leave to go to work, but then would return on their own. According to the girls, this was because Carol Ann had put a hex on them, keeping them mentally locked to her under the guise of religious purification. Side note, on most websites talking about this, there's claims that they also found books related to mind control and witchcraft, but I couldn't find any contemporary reports of this. Regardless, she was doing something to keep them there, and had even convinced one of their fathers that their daughter was impaired and needed to send over $17,000 to help pay for nurses, money that Carol Ann just took for herself. Once this story got out, the public went crazy trying to find more information about the lady of the Hex House, and there was a lot to find. She was actually born Opal Mary Carey and moved from Indianapolis to Muskogee, Oklahoma with her father and sisters after the death of her mother. A few years after that, she married a man named Fay Harold Smith and moved to Tulsa, where they apparently did very well financially until Fay lost his job during the Great Depression. In 1934, Fay would be found dead with a bullet wound in his chest and his father's nearby. Officially, it was ruled a suicide, but that didn't sit well with the people who knew Fay. Even Carol Ann would make comments about how she thought her husband was murdered. But with his death, she would begin collecting life insurance money. The next year, a woman named Beulah Walker stepped into the path of a vehicle being driven by a local firefighter named C.C. Raines. Raines was able to stop, but another car actually hit him from behind and pushed him into Walker. She would die of her injuries. There's a lot of different stories about how Walker and Carol Ann are connected. Some claim that Walker was Carol Ann's maid, but that just isn't true. She was a nurse by profession, and the 2 women were just friends. Others claim that she had come running out of the house that would eventually become known as the Hex House, but that also doesn't appear to be true. Carol Ann hadn't even moved into that house when it happened. But one thing we do know is that Carol Ann was the beneficiary of Walker's life insurance policy. 2 years after that, in 1937, Carol Ann meets Virginia Evans, a recent divorcee who Carol Ann said she felt sorry for, and the 2 became roommates. The next year, Carol Ann met Willetta Horner at a grocery store, and eventually she would move in as well. After living in a few different places, the 3 eventually ended up at the duplex on the corner of Main and 21st, which brings us back to 1944. The police raid, they find the 2 girls, they